Opening on a brutal battlefield covered in bodies and broken swords, a man with blonde hair stands at the top, surrounded by dark red energy as snow falls around him. Amidst the ruins, a young man stood bloodied before the lone figure. The blonde-haired man, addressing him as Ash, looked at him in confusion, unable to understand why he was here when he had entrusted him to the Eastern Subjugation Force. The young man said he was here to kill him.
From the very beginning, you intended to use my unit as bait, to discard us once we were spent. Isn't that right?
The blonde-haired man stares down at him coldly. He replies,
That is the purpose of a wingless one. Isn't it, my foolish son?
A close-up revealed the young boy's intense, bloodied face, the boy now known as Aster A. Elheim, a member of the prestigious House of Elheim. Flashback panels show Lord Roderick, the head of House Elmheim, the greatest martial house on the continent. He's described as the sole possessor of the 7 wings. We see him in his full power, and a younger Aster collapsed in the snow, with text saying he once saved Aster on a whim during a snowstorm, and so to repay that debt, he did everything his father asked him to do. Back to Aster's past, he's shown collapsed and exhausted on the ground. His siblings had always mocked him, calling him wingless, because he was the only one in the ducal house unable to wield magic. The wing crest proof of one's magical power. The more wings, the greater the mana, yet Aster had none. He had no wings to repay his father with. We see a younger Aster training intensely. He's doing push-ups in the rain, chopping wood, pushing his body to the limit. Even without wings or magic, he kept training with the sword, believing that one day his father would acknowledge his devotion. In the snowy forest, Aster realizes he's been led into a trap. He desperately asks his father why he's doing this after everything he's done. Lord Roderick showed no mercy. He coldly told Aster that a mere tool should never hold great expectations, and that his role was already over before turning his back on him. Betrayed and heartbroken, Aster attacks in rage, only to be completely overpowered by his father. A full-on battle breaks out. Aster fights fiercely, but is overwhelmed by his father's men and bound by glowing red chains. Aster is surrounded by his brothers-in-law. They mock him ruthlessly as he lies beaten on the ground. The blonde one smirks and says,
You really don't get it, do you, brother-in-law? A wingless one will always be wingless. Crawling on the ground like that suits you perfectly.
Aster lies defeated on the snow as they stand over him with glowing red chains. Lord Roderick grabs him by the hair and reveals the cruel truth. He never cared about Aster, he only wanted the power of the 7 wings inside him. Roderick continues coldly, saying Aster's mother was only useful because she gave birth to him for this purpose. Aster lies bleeding in the snow, reaching out in disbelief. With his final strength, Aster screams at his father as Roderick walks away, leaving him to die. Everything turns blood red. Aster feels death approaching.
Is this where I die?
His vision fades to white. Everything is cold, then faintly warm. Aster wonders if this is the afterlife. But something feels wrong. He realizes.
No, this is reality.
He's in a tiny body, an infant's body. Aster panics as he understands he's been reborn as a baby. The woman holding him is dead, and he hears people approaching in the blizzard. Riders are desperately searching the snow. They shout orders to recover the baby for Lord Roderick's sake. Aster hears the name and freezes. Memories flood back. Aster realizes the shocking truth. He has returned to the past, back to the night he was originally found as a baby. Determined not to repeat his tragic fate, baby Aster struggles with all his might to escape the Duke's grasp. Forcing his tiny, glowing hands to move, he desperately began crawling away. Even as an infant, the pain is immense. His body burns and he struggles to breathe, but he refuses to give up. A silver-haired girl stumbles upon baby Aster and calls out to her father. A silver-haired man with green eyes, the Viscount of House Hifrid, arrives and looks down at the baby in shock. He couldn't comprehend why there was a baby in a place like this, let alone how it had managed to crawl such a great distance. He picks up the infant and stares in disbelief. The Viscount of House Hifrid leans in and asks quietly,
Who is this child?
We open Chapter 2 in a mysterious starry void. Baby Aster floats among glowing feathers, completely disoriented. A mysterious child with pink hair appears and welcomes him. Reality hits as Aster wakes up surrounded by several young girls. They excitedly pile on him, hugging and restraining the struggling baby while calling him cute. Aster tries to escape from the girls. In his panic, he accidentally activates his golden magic and starts flying uncontrollably through the air. Completely out of control, Aster flies high into the sky before crashing down with a massive burst of golden energy and flames. He lands right in the hands of the silver-haired Viscount. For the second time, the Viscount was left astonished by baby Aster, calling him a truly mysterious child after witnessing him literally fall from the sky. Baby Aster looks up in shock, sweat dripping down his face. The silver-haired man who caught him holds the infant firmly in his arms. Aster's eyes widen as he realizes who this person is. The man is revealed as the head of the Viscount family, a branch of House Elmheim. Once he fought alongside his brother Lodric as one of the two wings, entrusted with protecting the royal family, but Aster knows he should have died long ago in the Civil War. Aster's mind races with realization. He understands he has truly returned to the past after his uncontrolled magic sent him flying straight into this family's hands. The adults around him look stunned by the mysterious child who fell from the sky. The Viscount's wife gently holds and comforts the baby Aster, calming him down while the rest of the family watches with curiosity. The Viscount closely examines Aster and discovers a glowing red dragon crest on the child's back. He declares that the baby possesses tremendous power, and the wife reacts with shock upon recognizing the mark of the 7 wings. Aster sees the glowing red dragon crest on his back. As a hand roughly pulls open his clothes, his eyes widen in shock and fury as painful memories resurface. More painful flashbacks flood in the moment he was found as a baby in the snow by a powerful figure. Aster realizes bitterly why that man had taken him in, to steal the power of the 7 wings. Back in the present, the Viscount's wife holds baby Aster with concern, asking what they should do with this mysterious child. The Viscount looks serious as he considers the situation. Aster clenches his tiny fists with burning resolve. In his mind, a strong determination surges.
I need this power to get revenge on him.
The Viscount makes his decision and declares they will adopt the child. The Viscount and his wife agree to take full responsibility for raising Aster until he takes off on his own. Several young girls in the mansion excitedly swarm around the baby. They pile on top of each other in a chaotic but affectionate heap while the mother and family watch with concern and amusement. The Viscount's wife gently holds baby Aster, smiling warmly as the family begins to embrace him. A soft, caring atmosphere fills the room as they start treating him like their own. The Hifrid family proudly presents Aster as the new star born into their household. It's now 10 years later, and we see a grand view of their magnificent mansion, showing the scale of his new life. Aster, now a composed young boy, steps out of a carriage with the Viscount. Servants and attendants bow respectfully as they arrive at an important gathering. Aster walks beside his pink-haired older sister, Ulfin. He politely supports her and helps her walk carefully. She smiles and thanks him warmly as they move together as siblings. The group arrives at the Grand Sword Dance Assembly, an annual event for noble martial families to showcase their strength. Powerful swordsmen demonstrate dazzling techniques filled with flames, lightning, and flowing energy. The Viscount family makes their entrance. From the shadows, rival nobles whisper amongst themselves, mocking them as a disgraceful family eager to embarrass themselves once again. They ridicule their decision to adopt a mysterious boy in place of a proper heir, wondering just how much further they intend to tarnish the Elheim name. Aster walks forward with a calm yet sharp demeanor. Beside him, his pink-haired sister Ulfin stays close, reassuring him not to worry as tension steadily builds around them. She reminds him never to show weakness, warning that those who do are always the ones who get crushed. The Viscount shows Aster the current standing and influence of their family. He asks whether the boy is disappointed by what he sees, but Aster remains calm and observant. In truth, he feels completely at ease in this kind of environment. His expression hardens with determination as Aster recalls the humiliating social debut from his previous life, a complete disgrace to the Elheim family. Standing before the grand venue, Aster reflects on the bitter memories this place holds for him, but his resolve strengthens. He is no longer the same person now that the power of the Seven Wings has returned. The family prepares to fully enter the assembly. Tension and anticipation fill the air as they step forward together. Aster's golden eyes glow with confidence. With a sharp smirk, he declares,
Let's make a glorious social debut, shall we?
Chapter 3 opens with a spectacular display at the Sword Dance Assembly. Swordsmen clash with explosive power, fierce energy, shattering impacts, and dazzling sword techniques fill the arena as the crowd watches in awe. In this era where knights rule supreme, might is defined by mastery of the blade and majesty by undying renown. The absolute symbol embodying both is the medal. Aster stands on a balcony overlooking the chaos with his red-haired sister Ulfin. She looks concerned and asks if he's nervous on his first sword dance festival. Aster smiles confidently, though internally he finds the whole atmosphere quite loathsome. The Viscount prepares to leave, telling Aster to look after his sister. She quickly reminds him she's a year older, but Aster just laughs, calling her too clumsy to rely on herself. The Viscount places a hand on Aster's shoulder and advises him to use this time to mingle and build connections with others his age. He also warns him to keep the secret of the Seven Wings hidden. Aster heads off alone, thinking it's easier said than done. Aster walks away from the balcony with purpose. Ulfin calls out to him in surprise, asking where he's going. He replies casually that he's going to make some friends. Aster enters a private lounge where several young nobles are gathered. A red-haired young man lounging on a couch notices him and asks who he is. Aster introduces himself with a confident smile, Aster F. Elmheim. I'm your younger brother. The red-haired man looks surprised. The young nobles in the lounge immediately recognize Aster. They mock him as the adopted kid picked up by the Viscount family. Aster stares at them coldly, his mind flashing with dark memories. These are the same people who betrayed and killed him in his previous life. Ulfin suddenly appears and stands protectively beside Aster. The red-haired noble and his group mock them relentlessly. Tension explodes as Ulfin grabs Aster's arm and tries to pull him away from the confrontation. When Ulfin firmly refuses their invitation, the bratty noble sneers that her father is just a knight who couldn't even protect the king. The red-haired noble mocks Ulfin harshly, saying he's glad he doesn't carry the blood of a loser who couldn't even protect the king. Ulfin snaps back in fury. Take that back. The noble laughs and spits red grape juice all over her in contempt as the argument turns ugly. The red-haired noble continues saying,
This isn't a ballroom, you know. Next time, you should wear some rags, so it won't matter when you get drenched.
Aster walks toward the scene. In his mind, he reflects that he was actually worried he wouldn't feel any anger when he saw their faces again, but now he feels a clear sense of relief. He suddenly calls out to the red-haired noble before grabbing a bottle and hurling it straight at him. The red-haired noble instinctively catches the bottle, but in the same instant, Aster draws his sword and slices it open, sending grape juice pouring all over him. Aster stands over him with his blade already drawn, a cold smirk resting on his face as he delivers the line.
Oh, it's just grape juice. Fits a bratty noble like you perfectly, don't you think?
Chapter 4 starts off with a flashback from 3 years ago. a massive golden explosion erupts as Aster loses complete control of his power. The silver-haired Viscount desperately tries to hold him back. The violent outburst engulfs the area. Aster's silver-haired and red-haired adopted sisters are caught in the blast, screaming in terror. The silver-haired Viscount stands ready with his sword, watching the overwhelming golden energy and the power of the 7 wings. He questions whether such dangerous power can truly be controlled. Back in the present, a servant bursts into a noble conference room in panic, shouting that something terrible has happened. The nobles react in shock as they learn that the sons of both the main Elmheim family and the Branch family are dueling each other right now. Ulfin runs desperately toward her father, the silver-haired Viscount. A bearded man with red eyes grins excitedly at the chaos. From the balcony, nobles watch the large crowd gathered in the arena below. The red-haired noble and Aster face off with swords drawn in a public brotherly quarrel. The bearded noble smirks, noting that this sword dance gathering could turn chaotic. In the arena, the red-haired noble powers up with energy and raises his sword high, proudly displaying his 4-winged crest while mocking Aster and demanding he show his own. The red-haired noble taunts Aster arrogantly, asking if he's too embarrassed to show his wing crest after seeing his own. Aster stares back coldly with glowing yellow eyes as he replies,
Flouting a mere pattern with pride like that? It's a shameful thing I don't think I could ever do.
The red-haired noble, who we now know as Dolly's, got visibly annoyed by that remark. Aster proposes a wager. If he wins, the red-haired noble must apologize to his sister. The noble smirks and agrees, but adds his own condition. If he wins, Aster will become his dog for life. The duel explodes into action. Aster and the red-haired noble clash swords fiercely, sparks flying with every rapid strike. Dolly's unleashes the power of his 4-winged crest, swinging with glowing red energy. Ulfin watches from the balcony and shouts Aster's name in alarm. The bearded noble observes with crossed arms, explaining that while the Dolly's swordsmanship is still immature, the overwhelming magic of a wing crest more than makes up for it, like comparing a candle flame to a blazing fire. Dolly's presses the attack aggressively with spinning red energy slashes, taunting Aster about his earlier bravado.
Where did all that bravado from earlier go? Didn't you want to make me apologize?
He demands Aster show his power. A blonde noble with a mustache excitedly declares the match is already decided. Aster counters at blinding speed. Dolly's is visibly shocked as Aster tells him coldly,
You talk too much.
Aster spins with surging golden energy. In his mind, he reflects on waiting 10 long years for this chance to take revenge. Aster unleashes a devastating golden strike, forcing Dolly's on his knee. Dolly's brother watches on in shock. Dolly's is completely overpowered. Aster pushes him back with raw strength despite Dolly's being a 4-winged fighter. Dolly's is in total shock. The crowd watches in disbelief. Spectators murmur that Dolly's is being completely overwhelmed. There are still monsters like that in House Elmheim. From the balcony, the silver-haired Viscount watches tensely and whispers, "This is bad." Ulfin stands beside him, looking worried. In a sudden flashback, Aster remembers the brutal moment from his previous life, Dolly's and his group viciously attacking and mocking him. Dolly's is on the ground desperately begging Aster to stop as golden flames rage around him. From the balcony, the silver-haired Viscount shouts in alarm, trying to stop Aster. Aster unleashes a devastating golden explosion of power. Dolly's is blasted away and sent crashing hard into the ground with a broken sword. Dolly's lies defeated on the arena floor, wetting himself in the process. The entire crowd watches in stunned silence as Aster stands victorious, delivering the cold lines.
Next time, you should come wrapped in some rags. That way, you won't mind getting soaked. Cousin.
Ulfin leans over the balcony in shock and awe. Aster's golden eyes glow with calm, overwhelming confidence after completely dominating the fight. A heavy, oppressive red aura suddenly fills the venue. A powerful figure appears at the top of the stairs as Aster turns to face him. Lord Roderick stands imposingly at the top of the stairs, surrounded by a menacing red aura. Aster stares directly at him with burning hatred as the name echoes intensely in his mind. ending the chapter off with an intense cliffhanger.